Hello and welcome to Designing Basics. In this first video, we're going to go over 2D sketches and extrusions. So as we progress, we'll be going more in depth to 2D sketches, but we're going to start off with basics and then progress. So we always start off a design with a 2D sketch. Typically, I choose the XY plane, but you can choose whatever plane you want. Sometimes it'll auto-generate the plane you start off with, which is fine as well. But if you get to choose a plane, choose whatever you like. So now that we're in the designing features, your design ribbon may be different depending on your software, so please make sure to note that. But many of them will consist of lines, splines, bridge curves, circles and ellipses, arcs, and different styles of rectangles. Usually they'll at least have the basic, which is a rectangle. They have slots, straight and curved, and then a polygon. And a polygon is basically to let you decide how many sides it has and auto-generate that for you. Just less work for yourself. So we're going to start off with just a 2-point center rectangle. And the reason why I like to center my designs is you're going to have multiple work planes to work with, so 3 to start off with. And if they're all centered about your model, it'll just make certain design aspects better. Now, if you have something that you know you want it to be offset by a certain amount, then you're going to do that. But to start off with, let's keep it simple. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to dimension it. So dimensioning is going to essentially have it where we can choose how big we want this. So I'm going to say I'm going to make it 2 inches wide by 3 inches tall. And this is what I'm going to essentially have for the starting of my sketch. Now, I'm not touching any of the other features. We're going to ignore those for now. We'll go into detail with these later. But essentially, all we did is we made a rectangle. We made sure it was centered about the center point. And now we're going to extrude it. So you have 2 options when you do this. Sometimes you'll have a hotkey. For instance, for me, it would be E on the keyboard. But I'm going to actually just go finish sketch just to show you what I'm doing. And then extrude. But if you see when I highlight it, it says that E is my hotkey. So it's always good to find out what your hotkeys are for your software. It just makes designing a little bit faster. So now that we're going to do the extrusion, you're going to see that I have some options. So I'm going to I have it set at 2 inches. Now, it'll ask you which way you want it to be extruded from the plane. So it's saying, I want it to be this direction 1, direction 2. You can have it symmetrical. So it'll be splitting the difference of whatever size you have. That's usually what I choose for the first part of the sketch. Or you can do an offset. So if you know that you want it to be 2 inches one way and 1 inch the other way, it'll offset it for you that way. And of course you can change these dimensions as we progress, but we're going to stick with just 2 inches centered for first basic design. I'm going to click OK. And now that we have something that's designed, that is actually all you have to really think about when it comes to the aspects of designing an extrusion. However, there's also something called an extrude cut. Now, the way to do that is we're going to now take this model and we're going to extrude cut a shape into the side. So we're going to just do a sketch on this side here. And instead of doing a rectangle, we're going to actually just go down to a polygon. So I'm just choosing a different shape that's going to be pre-made for me. I'm going to make it 8 sides, and I'm going to just do it centered yet again, just for the example. Now, the only difference between this one and the rectangle is you can see that it's not flat or horizontal or vertical. So we're going to use a constraint called a horizontal constraint. So you can see constraints here, and you can see all these crazy shapes here. So you can see that one, if I highlight it, it'll say horizontal constraint. Another one says vertical constraint. These are some of my main go-tos for my models. So I'm going to do a horizontal constraint, and you can see how there's that dotted line that's telling me that's going to be in line with that axis. It'll now make it so that this line is straight with that surface. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to dimension this to a specific height, and we're going to make it 1 inch, and then that's all I have to do for the first portion. I'm going to click Finish Sketch, and you can see I have a shape that I can now go and use the Extrude feature. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do an Extrude Cut. So the way the Extrude Cut works is it would cut away material in your model as you please. So instead of making it 2 inches, we're going to make it 1 inch. So it's only going to go down a specific distance. And again, you can specify which direction. Of course, if I go this way, it's cutting into nothing. So usually it'll cut it into your material. But depending where you place it in on a plane, it'll change where it's going. So now that we have that done, we can choose a dimension, and then we can click OK. And essentially, that is how you use an extrude and an extrude cut feature. We used two different shapes, which was a rectangle and the polygon shape. And that's essentially all we're going to go through today. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Otherwise, this is Tyler with 3D Printer Store, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.